Hello Americans. I apologize for the audio in this video. You're probably going to hear things like my heater running in the background. I'm going to get right to it. I'm going to try to make this video short and sweet because some of the content can seem to be a little bit boring. And I understand my audience. I want you to listen to what I have to say because this is your tax dollars that are being spent. This money comes from the federal budget, so this would affect anybody who pays federal taxes, and specifically this is for Pennsylvania. So if you live in this state specifically, you are affected, and this money is being spent in a way that is being masked for you to understand it. So what we're looking at here is this is from the Federal Register. This was printed on Friday, June 1st, 2018. This is regarding the LIHEAP. Now this is the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. This is a program that's put into place to help people keep on their heat and electric in the wintertime to make sure that things don't happen like an elderly couple freezing to death, or if somebody's pipes freeze and they need them for their radiator, we can come out there and fix them, things of this nature. I agree with the program. I think that the program is good for Americans, and there are many Americans who are stuck on fixed incomes and things like this that need this program. However, there's a law that's written about this, and we should be spending this money according to the law, and we should be holding accountable the people who are responsible for spending this money. Okay, so like I said, I want to make the video short. This is about LIHEAP. Go look it up. This is the estimated reallotment amounts. Now, reallotment is this is a carryover and reallotment report from the feds, and this says everyone who got LIHEAP last year and that they are requesting to have that LIHEAP money sent up to next year. And any state can actually ask for this up to 10% of the budget. And so they can ask for 10% of the money that they weren't able to spend in a year to be rolled over to next year. Maybe the winter wasn't so bad, and maybe they might plan on having a worse winter next year. The only state that is in this report, now this is, like I said, this was printed in 2018, and so this would be money that they're requesting from 2017 to be put into the fiscal year of 2018. Now, the state of Alaska is the only state that's here. All these other things are Native American tribes, from what I understand. Now, the reason why you don't see any other states here is because states actually have it written in their constitution. Ours, Pennsylvania, and 42 other states, I believe, and I could be wrong about that, have it written into their constitution that they won't roll HHS budgets from year to year, which means, put simply, that if I can't spend all the money this year, then next year I get a smaller amount of budget. This is a very simple concept. This is meant to shrink budgets that are getting out of control. This is meant to make sure that money is spent within the law, and just to make sure that when we're giving up our tax money, 22% I think it is in Pennsylvania, that it's being spent the way that we're told it's being spent. Okay, so keep in mind, this is from 2017 into 2018. These are all the states that are requesting this. Okay, now here is the same exact report from the next year. This is from this year, Tuesday, August 27th, 2019, Federal Register, and you can go look this up. This is the link right here, and I will post this along with the video. It's not hard to find these videos these reports on the Federal Register. It's very simple. You type in LIHEAP carryover and reallotment report, and it comes right up, and just put the fiscal year in and it comes right up. Okay, so right again, we have the list of states right here and territories. It is a little higher for the entire country, 1.8 million altogether, but you see a lot fewer people reporting here. Maybe they were able to figure out how to spend their money, or their winter wasn't so bad. Alaska is requesting 1.5 million, which is the majority of all of the money throughout the entire country that's being requested to roll over. So why are we talking about this? Well, here we have, this is the LIHEAP state plan from fiscal year 2019. So this would be actually last year. So we've just entered fiscal year 2020, and the season just started for our program this year, and I still work there. This is the opening date, November 1st, 2018, closing date April 12th, 2019. Okay, so this is last year, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. And in last year's state plan, and here's the funding, where it says DHS anticipates carrying a forward balance of $13 million. So how could that be? Because they're supposed to report to the feds when they ask to do that. So where did this money come from? And it's and it doesn't say that we're getting any money from anywhere else. I don't see it. And I also have looked at the entire HHS budget that Pennsylvania produced this year, and it says all the places that LIHEAP gets money, and guess what? Feds are the only one listed there. Please go ahead and look that up. And if I get enough response on this video, I will go and look that up as well. I'll make another video. Okay. So now that was from this year, and this is from the year prior. This is from the year that started in 2017. So this would be fiscal year 2018. Okay, fiscal year 2018. And we'll go back to the start dates so that we can be clear about when the money is supposed to be spent and when it's not supposed to be spent. So here's the program start dates right here again. Opening date November 27, 2017, and then it closes in 2018. So this would have been not last season, but the season before. And last season, they said that they were carrying forward a balance of $5 million from fiscal year 2017. And now let's go back to the report from the Federal Register. Now this is all the money from 2017 that was requested to be carried over into 18. And guess what? Pennsylvania isn't even listed here. They didn't even ask. They didn't tell the feds that they had the extra money. Why? Because if they did, the feds already know that Pennsylvania does not allow itself to pass unbalanced budgets. Okay. Basically, it's written into our state constitution that we don't roll money from year to year, over and over and over and over. I've tried to explain this to so many people, and that's why I'm making this video. Now, you might ask yourself why this is important to you. There is a couple of ways that the state spends this extra money. Now, in Pennsylvania, they've already outlined a way that Pennsylvania has already said, hey, look, if we do ask for a reallocation of this money, this is the way we're going to do it. We're going to give X amount of dollars to either everybody. We're going to give X amount of dollars to people who have a child 5 and under. These are called vulnerable households. Another vulnerable household would be a disabled household, or somebody who has someone who's over the age of 59. So there's a separate amount of money that each one of those categories would get, and typically I think it was $50 extra if you have a kid under 5, $50 extra if you have someone who's 59 or who's over the age of 59, and $75 if you have someone who is disabled. And only one person, or every one person, can only qualify for one of those. So if you have someone who's under 5 and disabled, they would likely just get the disabled because it's a little bit more. Anyway, I would definitely follow up with this if you have any questions as far as that goes. So the way that Pennsylvania actually did decide to spend this money is they came up with this magical program called the turn-on program, where if a client had an emergency situation, which would be a shut-off notice, or they were already turned off for their regulated utility, so this would be Penelec or National Fuel, and they didn't include all the other vendors. All the other vendors were excluded from this program, so only if you had electric through Penelec, or First Energy, whatever you want to call it, or only if you had gas through National Fuel, then you would be able to get this money. There was no other way to apply for this money if you weren't getting that. So they basically had this magical way that right before the program started, anybody who had an emergency, we automatically shipped out money from the prior year. And Pennsylvania law is already very specific in that people have to have a way to apply for this money, and then we have to be able to be held accountable. If I reject somebody and I say this person gets it but this person don't, that person who doesn't get it has to be able to appeal what I decided. Okay, because I'm not perfect. I can make mistakes. I rejected multiple people for this program. I wasn't involved in the phase 1 program, but the way the phase 2 of the turn-on program worked was that if you had a shut-off notice and you weren't included in the phase 1 turn-on program, then you could get an extra $500 to help with your emergency situations, a total of $1,100. The problem with this is that, like I said, there's no way to apply for it. So a lot of people just went along paying their bills and did what they were supposed to do, and they just made sure that their heat was paid. But then there's a lot of people who knew about the program and were able to take advantage of the program by simply not paying their electric bill, gas bill, whatever it is, and then knowing that there's an extra $500 that's coming. And so the people who knew about this program or who are related to caseworkers, they had a huge advantage on getting this extra money because no one else, there was no public announcement of it. There's no, hey, this is, we're gonna do this extra stuff and everybody can get $500 if they apply. It's nothing like that. It's this agreement between the county assistance office and the vendor, where if you end up on this list, you get this extra money, and if you apply for a crisis and you need extra, then we'll give it to you. But only in this situation, only in that situation. And I disagreed with it. So I went to Dan Laughlin's office. This is my state representative here in Erie County, Pennsylvania. He actually was very aggressive with me. The guy turned bright red in the face and he said, "Chuck, don't you ever come back to my office again. And I will send you an email about this," which he never did. And then he called my office to the director of the county assistance office and told him that he didn't want me back at his office either. And I have an email from my director requesting that I don't return to the state representative's office with questions about the budget, which I don't agree with. I don't think that any American citizen should be turned away from his state representative simply because I had a couple of questions about where this money is coming from in the budget. And if it's a legitimate source, all he had to do is explain to me, "Hey, Chuck, we're allowed to do this, blah, 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 XYZ, here you go." But if you want to get aggressive with me, turn red in the face, and turn me away and tell me to stop asking questions, well, I'm going to have to do the opposite for you there, Dan. And I'm going to have to look into it as hard as I can and make sure what you're telling me is the truth. I've been going at this for like a year. I've been trying to get people to respond to me and tell me what the heck is going on for a long, long time. This report, the second federal report, just came out here in August, and it's now only November. But it eats me up alive, and I really would just like to understand where the money is coming from and why we can just magically choose different ways to spend, set upwards of 17, 13, 14 million dollars, whatever you have, because it's different in each one of the reports, and just magically come up with a way of spending it. I just don't agree with that. I'm going to share this to a couple of groups on Facebook. I'm sorry if my video was a little too long for you to pay attention to. Maybe I'll try to make a shortened version of it. If you guys have any questions about the law that I'm talking about, if you have any questions about the WARM program, or if you have just regular LIHEAP questions, I would even be able to answer those. So, and I'd love to get some response and to generate some sort of interest in this problem, because in my brain, this is $13 million that could have been spent 100 other ways. Fixing roads, we could have restored schools. There are schools that are closing in Philadelphia right now that requires around $10-12 million to fix their problems. Guess what? We could have saved one of those schools. So thank you for watching. Please share the video if you can, and I'm not very much of a video maker, but and if you have any questions, please go ahead and list them and I will try to respond to them as best as I can. Thank you.